Hi guys and gals, today we're going to talk about ab crunches with the TRX band. This exercise is really great for developing your core with stability and strength and balance. I'm gonna mention a few videos that I already have about the core exercises, so you're gonna learn the fundamentals about the core first, and then you can move to this video because this is a little bit more advanced. There are simpler exercises for you to develop the core, but anyway, one of those videos that I'm gonna mention is gonna be ab crunches using a stability bar. This is pretty much the same exercise as that exercise. I'm gonna put the link in here, so you're gonna watch that video and you're gonna see that this is the same. But anyway, there are things that you should consider with the TRX ab crunch as well. First, I'm gonna do the exercise, then I'm gonna go through the details. Good. Now, as mentioned in those videos, the movement of the spine is gonna use the core muscles. Now, a lot of people, when they wanna do the ab exercises, they keep their spine flat. In other words, they're just hinging from here. That's the same thing in here as well. I see a lot of people doing this exercise like this. They put the legs in and they just bring the hip up and down. If you want to use your core, and more specifically the rectus abdominis or the six-pack muscle, which is the main target of this exercise, you need to flex the spine. So the flexion of the spine can happen from the chest or the thoracic spine, and also by tilting the pelvis. So this act, which is the posterior tilt of the pelvis, is gonna contract the ab. Also, the flexion of the spine, which happens mainly from here, the thoracic spine, is gonna contract the abs. By abs, we mean the rectus abdominis a lot more. So, if you want to do that, you shouldn't just bring the hip up. You should curve your spine. Now, for you to do this exercise, you should have a basic stability level in place. Now, I would say if you cannot hold a plank for at least 1 minute, this exercise is not good for you. You should do other exercises because this is a little bit challenging. You're adding a little bit of instability to the movement as well. So you need to have the fundamentals in check. Now, whether you do it correctly or not, the hip is gonna come up anyway. So the arm is on the ground, the hip is coming up. It means that the shoulder is getting flexed, and if you've got restriction in here, it's just gonna be really painful and bad for you, and that can cause injuries, and it's gonna restrict the range of motion as well. The second thing is the length of the TRX band. Make sure it's in a good place, so if it's too long, it's gonna come too much down, and when you do the exercise, you're gonna see that the knee is either touching the ground or the hip is not just coming up, and you're just using the hip flexors to bring the knee forward and back, and you don't feel it in the ab. If it's too much up as well, you're just gonna see that the hip is all the way up, you're flexing the shoulder too much, and the range of motion is really limited. So I would say around 3 feet from the ground, so 1, 2, 3. So 3 feet from the ground is a good place, but you need to change it based on your flexibility, your height, and your anatomical structure. But for majority of people, I think 3 feet from the ground is gonna be a good place. Another mistake that I see people make is the positioning of the knee. More specifically, we're talking about external and internal rotation of the hip, but to put it in a simple term, people do the TRX ab crunch while their knees are out or too much in, so they put the TRX band inside the feet and they do the exercise in that way. And I already have videos about leg exercises that I'll go through the details, that if you, for example, do the leg curl or the leg extension, you should keep it in a straight line, because the meniscus and the knee is going to be under a lot of pressure. It's going to be the same in here as well. So then you're putting a lot of weight on your leg and you're just rotating the knee. All that weight is going to come on your knee. So make sure when you're doing the exercise, everything is forward. And the last thing that you should consider is the positioning of the arm. So make sure the arm is not fully straight. In other words, make sure the elbow is not locked fully. So bend it slightly so the impact that you have from this exercise is controlled in here and it doesn't go all the way to the shoulder. As mentioned, we're adding some instability to this exercise by using a TRX band, so the range of motion is going to be a little bit more challenging because we need to keep the balance of our body. And if the arm is fully straight, it's gonna just cause a lot of injuries to our joints inside our arm.